Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to CodeTav Management. So today, basically, I am going to start with a new playlist, which is like a random Java interview playlist. So I just want to initiate this just because to help all of you. Like whenever any interview will come, that is random, right? But you need to prepare in a way that's why you can excel that one, right? So that's why I decided to create that playlist. So let's start. So first of all, there may be one interview questions like one small DSA type of questions or some problem will be there and you need to solve. So that's why starting with a very easy type of questions like that. So that is basically one coding challenge is circular string check. So the problem is given a base string, and how do you determine if an input string is a circular rotation of it? So like you will be given a string, okay, that is the base string, and you need to determine like user will give you one input, and that is basically the circular rotation of your base string. So you can approach this via like a string s2, that is a circular rotation of s1. So that is circular rotation of s1 means s1 is a base string and s2 is the input. So that's why that is the circular rotation of s1. And only if s2 has the same length as s1 and s2 is the substring of the concatenation of s1 and s2, that is the main case, like main condition to solve the problem, right? So you can think in that way, okay? So just let's assume like here you can see like we are using one boolean return type and one method like is circular rotation. So you need to return true or false. So just think if base string is null or input is null and base length is not equal to your input length, then you need to return false. That is okay. You got it? Then we are doing what? Concatenated, like the base and base. Now, if concatenated dot contains your input, here we are passing that input, right? So if in the concatenated one and there your input will be find out, then the condition will be satisfied, right? That your input string is a circular rotation of it. So in this way, the problem can be solved very easily. If you are thinking in any other way, then also you can write in the comment section. Okay. Okay. Now go to our next question. So next question is from Spring Framework. So I want to tell you that practice the interviews in like that way, like one topic, then the next question is from totally from the different topic. If you will practice in that way, then only your thinking skill will be up, and you can move from one point to another points, like one topics to another topics. Okay. So we will practice in that way. So the next question is like what is the functional difference between the configuration and the component annotations? So what is the component, you all know? I have also discussed in my spring discussion playlist. If you have not watched, just go to the spring discussion playlist and you can watch from there. Like I have already discussed one lecture where several type of annotations are covered. So as you know, component is a generic stereotype annotation in the Spring managed component, and it tells the container to instantiate the class as a bean during component scanning. So the component can be a configuration, can be service, can be controller. Okay. So basically through the component, we are instantiating in a class as a bean. And during component scanning, it will scan wherever that component annotations or any types of component annotation like the service or controllers are present. Now configuration. So I have already told you that configuration, service, controller, all are the components. So configuration is a specialized component that indicates a class declares one or more bin methods. So it allows for advanced configuration such as bin dependency injection, okay, and proxying to ensure singleton scope, even when bin methods are called directly. So again, I am just repeating. So configuration annotation is a specialized component that indicates a class declares one or more bins. Okay, one or more bin methods, and it allows for like advanced configuration such as bin dependency injection and proxying to ensure singleton scope. Okay, even when bin methods are called directly. Okay, so to ensure singleton scope, proxying is required. So that's why when bin methods are directly called, then that at that point also configuration helps through proxying, and also it helps for bin dependency injection. Now, how do you implement global request header validation? So when we prepare a request, the request has the header part, then the in authorization part also, and then payload part. So how do you implement the global request header validation? So the main point is you can use the handler interceptor. So by implementing the pre-handle method, you can intercept the HTTP servlet request before it reaches to the controller. So interceptor is basically before the controller. Okay. So if you will use that pre-handle method, you can intercept the HTTP servlet request before it's reached to controller. And that's why it will validate the required headers and return false if validation fails. Now the next topic is point cut. So point cut is a point where you can segregate your business logic from any logging or any other common things. So that point is the point cut. So basically in the aspect oriented programming, we use this, and we can achieve this via two ways. One is via annotation and another is via directly on the advice. So how we can do via annotation? So you define and point cut annotation inside the aspect class, and this separates your cross-cutting logic from your business logic. So suppose this logging aspect class is there, and that is annotated with component, and on top of it you have annotated one aspect. So this is the point cut definition where we are going to add the logging things. So there, here, see, here we are now adding one point cut. So here execution, here we are adding this star com dot code tab dot service dot blah blah blah. So here the service layer methods are also there. So here only on top of this service layer methods, we are adding this point cut. So it targets all methods in your service packages, like that that is inside your com.codetab.service, and inside that service package, all your methods are there. So or service layer methods on top of it, you are adding a point cut. So now the advice is the what is then linked to the point cut. Point cut is where, like where you want to add those logging things and all, or exception handling things. So there, on top of the like log before action, on top of this method, we have added this add before, at the rate before. So service layer methods. So this advice, like that is what? That is linked to the point cut. Point cut means where? Like here is the target point. So it targets all the methods in your service packages. And any actions what you want to execute before logging, that you can proceed inside this, like public void log before actions. And that's why on top of it we have added the before annotations. And now, like the what part, like the advice is the what part, right? So there also you can use the directly on the advice. For simple cases you can define the point cut expressions directly within the advice annotation. So here see this log controller actions. Here the before, here execution com.codeTav controller. So that is basically your advice, and here only you can do the point cut. Here you have seen, right? Here before this part is the advice, and here it is the point cut. So it was separate. So point cut definition was separate here. So here via annotations you are doing, but here we are not adding any via annotations. We are directly using on the advice. Okay. Now, why is it used this way? So first point is decoupling. So by using a point cut, your business logic means the service or controller has the zero knowledge of the logging, security, and transactional management logic. And centralization, if you want to change which methods are intercepted, then you only change the point cut expression in one place. That is the aspect, rather than modifying every single business methods. Otherwise, if you will not use the point cuts, then in every business methods you need to change. Okay. So for centralization purpose and decoupling purpose, just think. So now your business service and controller is totally segregated from your logging part, security part, and transactional management part. So then the decoupling happens. And centralization, like if you want to change which methods are intercepted, you only need to change in on the point cut expressions, and that is only in one place, not in every business methods. Now from database and concurrency, one good questions, like how do you resolve the race conditions in a production database environment? Suppose you are working in a production environment. Now some race conditions happened. How you will solve that? So first one is optimistic locking. So optimistic locking means you add a version column to your entity. So when an update is performed, you include the version in the where clause, like update table set value equals to x, comma version equals to version plus one, where id is something and version is current version. So if zero rows are updated, then conflict has occurred. So that's why add a version column to your entity. When an update is performed, include the version in where clause, right? Now synchronized, a JVM level keyword that ensures mutual exclusion, preventing multiple threads from executing a critical section simultaneously. Next is volatile. So a keyword that guarantees visibility. It ensures that any thread reading a variable sees the most recent write to the variable from the main memory, bypassing local thread caches. So that's why volatile is very much important. So whatever is updated one, you will read that one, not any old cached data. Okay. So first one is optimistic locking. So optimistic locking means there you will add a version column to your entity, and whenever one update will occur, you can query with that version. So if it will be matched, then it's okay. If it will not match, so then you like zero rows are updated, so conflict happened, like it is not happened. Now, synchronized JVM level keyword that ensures mutual exclusion, preventing multiple threads from executing a critical section simultaneously. So that's why you can use the synchronized block. And whenever you will use the synchronized block, then only one thread can access that. Multiple threads simultaneously cannot access that part. Like whenever in any bank, suppose the balance updations happening. Okay, like at that case you can use the synchronized block. Otherwise, two users, like one user from two different devices, two threads will be activated, and those two threads can access a common code block, and modification will be happened, and that will affect in your balance. So always remember this: optimistic locking, synchronized and volatile. Now, if you will tell like you have used Apache Kafka in your project, then this question can come up. Like how do you optimize Kafka producers for large payloads and high throughput? So in declarative way, I have just added the answers here. So first one is payload minimization. So always serialize only the necessary DTO fields rather than the entire domain object. Okay, so payload minimizations. We will serialize the required necessary DTO fields. We will not do it in for entire domain project. Okay, now compression. Enable compression type. Like you can use Snappy, gzip in the producer config to reduce the network bandwidth. Next is batching. Adjust batch size or linger ms. So that increase, like this helps the producer to wait slightly longer to aggregate the messages into a single batch, and then it actually will increase the throughput. So payload minimization, compression and batching, it will help in that way. Actually Kafka producers like manage when large payloads will be there and you need high throughput. So what is the replication factor is the next question. So the replication factor defines the total number of copies of a topic's partition data across the Kafka cluster. A factor of n means the data is replicated to n brokers, and that ensures that if n minus 1 brokers fail, the data remains available. So that's the replication factor. So that is the total number of copies of a topic's partition data across the Kafka cluster. So whenever there is Kafka cluster means the combination of multiple topics. So whenever one data will go through the replication factor, there will be many copies of that data, and those will be there in the topics partition. So data will be segregated there. So why we are doing that one? So suppose n number, like your replication factor is n. So then it means like n number of copies are there in a topics partition across the Kafka cluster. So means like data is replicated to n number of brokers. So if n minus one number of brokers will fail, then still one data will be available. So data will be available. So for the data availability, okay, this replication factor is very much important. So this I hope this will be like 30 to 40 minutes interview. Like if this type of questions will be asked, it will take 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, so generally for round 2 or some round three type of interview it is. Like they will check what is your problem solving skill, your Spring domain knowledge is there or not. In Spring, like in if you have already worked with the AOP programming, so like if you will not do the AOP programming, you will not aware of the point cards, join points. Okay, then like the advice, those things. Then the database and concurrency, like these are much important whenever you will handle the production environment. So they will check like if you have worked with the production environment or not. Then they will check like you really have any Apache Kafka experience or not. And if you have used the Apache Kafka, then if large payloads and high throughput you require, then how you will manage the things. Okay. Yeah, so that is our first session for the random Java interview. Next, one by one, we will cover more such sessions. I hope this will be helpful for you. And just do like, share, and subscribe more and more to get such videos. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye.